Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday PosiTIPS with Rachelle. Folks, I am so excited to continue this conversation on gym leadership or fitness facility leadership no-nos. So important. And I know last time I shared some tips, folks, that I want to keep the ball rolling on this episode by actually closing out the no-nos part of this conversation. But I did get some feedback, and a few folks asked me if I would hang out on this leadership topic for a little while longer, so I will do that. I'll drop in a couple of extra episodes, so stay tuned for those, but wanted to wrap things up specifically around these no-nos. And for purposes of this episode, I want to kick off the first no-no, and that is not being upfront about fees. I mean, it's just and this is not any specific gym, any specific franchise, any specific corporate chain, any specific whatever, any type of facility. This is just an industry-wide problem and challenge that many people have certainly had a lot of problems in this area. You know, members, former members feel like they've been misled, they've been lied to. This is something, if you look specifically at feedback, online reviews, you see this come up over and over and over. The person told me this and it turned out to be this. The person said it wouldn't be this and it did turn out to be this. And so I just challenge you today, because remember, I'm always challenging you to operate at a higher level. All right, so that means we've got to all, including myself, we've got to all be individuals of character, with character. And so the person of character is going to be honest about what the fees are, what the total cost is per month, per year, whatever, per class, per session. And we can't allow our reputations to be diminished or certainly ruined in many cases by lying to people, trying to get a buck, trying to get a new client, trying to get a longer term contract for a personal trainer, for example. So we just got to do the right thing. Just be upfront with people, be honest with people, even if it costs you in the short term. But I assure you, when we treat people right, we operate with integrity, we maintain our credibility, and act like folks with high character, and actually be folks with high character, in the long term, it will pay dividends like you can imagine. So I just wanted to highlight that one. Next, having a complicated, or in most cases, an ineffective cancellation process. This is another issue that plagues the fitness industry, where people feel like they've canceled and all of a sudden they're being billed months and sometimes even years after they've canceled. Folks making the process harder than it has to be. And I won't belabor this point, because you can go, once again, this is not any one particular facility or chain or franchise. This is just industry-wide. This is an industry-wide challenge where people feel like, I want to be done with this, and folks aren't letting me out. Whether that be, the leadership at a specific gym or whatever. When people want out, when they cancel, they just want to be done. We put ourselves, individually, let's put ourselves in those same shoes. How would we feel when we want to be done with something and then all of a sudden 6 months later we're still being charged for it? No, we'd be up in arms, as is the case with many members of individual facilities, chains and franchises across this country, actually across the world. Right? And there's this whole notion of, the fitness industry does not have a great reputation. Part of that is just the sales, a lot of the sales tactics, but all of that just not being upfront with fees, charging people long after they've stopped coming or decided and formally canceled their membership and they're still being charged. You go to Ripoff Report and look at various fitness entities and companies and franchises. You go to Better Business Bureau and look at different franchises and gyms and private facilities. This is just an industry-wide problem with dishonesty is truly at the root of that. Dishonesty and in many cases greed. Wanting to keep that money, wanting to keep those membership fees coming, and not honoring releasing people from their contracts. And folks get lawyers, folks sue. There's been class action lawsuits regarding these type of things. So I always want to keep you out of trouble, folks, and let's just do right by people. Let's just be honest. When folks are ready to be done, just let them be done. And you'll if you're doing the right thing, if you're treating your people right, if you're honoring your members, if you're giving them a great experience and building value, you'll get many more members to replace that one who left. So don't take a short-term perspective on it and say, oh my gosh, that person, that was $75 a month, or that was $100 a month that's going to be walking out of the door. That revenue now is lost. All right, you do right by people, your reputation will spread. That good reputation will spread. You'll get a lot of word of mouth, and you'll get more members. You'll get more foot traffic. You'll get more referrals, whatever the case may be. So let's just do right by people, folks. Thirdly, another no-no is discounting the fact that people generally dislike sales pressure. And the reason why I say generally, now there's some people, again, people like myself, who have sales background. I don't mind sales pressure. I actually like being sold to. I enjoy the experience because I learn a lot, but also because I've been in that situation where I've had to sell, to people. But fortunately I was in medical sales, so there wasn't this pressure and all of that. But one thing I often tell people when, this conversation about sales comes up, and I often like to tell people, if someone is pressuring you, that's because they are being pressured. You walk on a car lot and you've got some super high pressure salesperson. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could be going on there. The person is brand new. Number two, they're just, most industries do not invest in sales training at all for their people. So just kind of throw them to the wolves and bam, start selling something, including gym memberships. All right, including gym memberships. The industry as a whole has a tremendous black eye over this because so many different gyms over so many different years, all parts of the country and world have pressured people into signing up for memberships. And again, then when they're done or they don't want it anymore, then they can't cancel. So it's just a hot mess, to borrow from the vernacular. Use a little slang. It's a hot mess from the beginning, and then it's a hot mess trying to wrap things up and get out of, cancel the membership. All right, whatever the case may be. So we got to do right by people. Don't pressure people. A lot of the sales-driven, profit-driven organizations, they're certainly known for that. But I often like to tell people, I know a lot of people don't like that, but just try to have a little empathy for that individual. If they're pressuring you, that's because they are being pressured. You walk into, not to pick on LA Fitness or Lifetime, but their reputations are certainly way up there when it was a very sales-driven organizations. All right, and that's why it would be so cool. Now I would probably be the only viewer, but I think it would be so cool if there was a show. Remember years ago there was that show called Wife Swap, and it would be so cool if they had something like Gym Leader Swap, where if you were to take like a manager from Anytime Fitness or Snap Fitness or Planet Fitness and drop them into an LA Fitness, drop them into a Lifetime Fitness, and see how it rolls, and see that level of pressure. Talk to the sales, and you talk to the account managers that are working at Lifetime Fitness, that are working 7 days a week. 7 days. I've talked to them. I've talked to a number of them 7 days a week, because you never know when that next person's going to come through the door or call. And they've got quotas, they've got numbers to meet. All right, and so just to try to have a little empathy, whether you're trying to buy a car or you're buying a house and you've got some desperate realtor that hasn't sold a house in 2 months. Of course, the market has rebounded, but just think about any type of sales scenario. Likely that person is getting a whole lot of pressure themselves. They've never been trained, so they could be brand new, or in some cases, they just basically, haven't sold something in a while, and they see a prospect or a potential customer and they just go crazy. It happens all the time. But just remember, don't pressure people. Don't pressure people. People generally don't like it. They don't like it. Next, a very, very important one, especially in this age of social media, and that is ignoring the fact that anything that you do or don't do, say or don't say, can be used against you in the court of public opinion. It doesn't matter what type of entity we're talking about. We've seen it all. We've seen people dragged off airplanes. We've seen people kicked out of gyms. We've seen it all. All right, we've seen cops. We've seen police brutality. We see it all, and particularly when everyone has their smartphones. So many people have their smartphones, and they bam, pull it out, and they've got video of the situation. So we all have to recognize that, again, going back to that character, what type of people are we? Because mediocrity and people that are always trying to cut corners and get ahead and mistreating people, doing people wrong and all of that, that's going to come back to get you. People are going to tell on you in terms of reviews, in terms of word of mouth, and in terms of just social media in general, where you're talking about Facebook and those type of entities where they're just, we've got to recognize the power has shifted. The power has shifted to the people. That old notion, power to the people. The people truly have the power these days. And so the way that you're operating, the way that you're treating people, and this is true, folks, for prospective members who may come in for a tour and they're totally turned off, and what do? Sometimes go to that particular club's Google review, write a Google review for that club or a Yelp review. And there's so many, go to some customer a prospective member gets burned during that initial process of trying to sign up. Then they go and write a negative review on the gym on ripoffreport.com. And there's just so many different ways. File a Better Business Bureau complaint. And a lot of times those are posted, on the bbb.org, website for that particular, area or geography of the country. So word gets out. Negative words gets out. People tell prospective members, current members, former members, and employees. So we just have to be mindful that our behavior, but if we're demonstrating character and high end integrity, we don't have anything to worry about. Are we perfect? No. But when we mess up, we make mistakes. Yes, we admit those mistakes. We admit fault. We do what we can to rectify the situation, and there it is. And that's why in many cases when folks write negative reviews, when someone from that entity, particularly the club itself directly, reaches out to the person, you'll often see folks will go back and update those reviews. So-and-so reached out to me and we worked it out, or he or she apologized and they did this or do that. And people recognize in many cases, not all cases, when you're trying to make things right. And they're willing to cut some slack and also adjust that review, update that review, so that way it's just not this one-star review that's just horrible and just spreading that negative word of mouth. That was true, there's some things that happened, but you don't want that. So just recognize you're always, this isn't an episode of back in the day, candid camera. You're always, your behavior could potentially always be on camera, always be on camera. And I wanted to share some examples here. And this is one, and I'm actually going to close this episode out here in a little while, but there was an article that appeared in Athletic Business, and this was March 2019 by Andy Berg. And this is a situation, and that's why the judgment-free zone, Big Planet Fitness, but also the no judgments philosophy that was actually pioneered by Crunch Fitness. When you see that, and I've read a past review of the Dearborn, Michigan location where there's a Google review of that club where someone was complaining that she felt judged, and then the trainer was doing certain things and she just felt judged and all of that. So that type of positioning, what you call in marketing, that type of positioning of no judgments and brand promise, promises like that, it's just tough because you've got people that are going to, you're dealing with people, so we all have different experiences, we all have different backgrounds, we all have different confidence levels. So what may be judgment to one person may not be to another. So anyway, you may have people that are just very sensitive to criticism, or people looking at them wrong, or maybe they're hypersensitive and they're just extremely self-conscious. There's just a lot of different variables at play, and so there's always a lot of different, publicity that comes out when people feel that promise of judgment-free zone or no judgments is broken in their minds. And so this article, and the title of the article is Planet Fitness Asks Man with Tourette's to Leave. And I just want to quickly, in the interest of time, go through a little of this. Planet Fitness, which bills itself as the judgment-free zone, is getting backlash after one of its locations in Florida asked a man with Tourette's syndrome to leave because he was being too loud. According to the North Fort Myers, and that's Florida by the way, Fox affiliate Josh Ertiter, went to the Planet Fitness Merchants Crossing location in Fort Myers to get in a quick workout with his fiancée and brother. Upon entering the facility, he told the staff that he has Tourette's. Erter says minutes later, he was approached by the assistant manager and told he would have to leave. He was like, "Sir, I know you have Tourette's and I know you can't control it, but we're going to have to ask you to leave. You're not welcomed here." And I was like, "What?" Seriously? Erder told Fox. Erder said he's not telling his story because he wants to hurt Planet Fitness. Rather, he wants to educate people about Tourette's, which can present with involuntary verbal or motor tics. I truly want to use this platform as a way to raise awareness for Tourette's because of the lack of education, he said. To get kicked out of somewhere and discriminated against for that's just ignorance and intolerance. Planet Fitness released the following statement apologizing for the incident. We sincerely apologize for the unfortunate incident that took place at our North Fort Myers Club. In this instance, a staff member enforced a company policy in error. While the staff's actions were not malicious in their intent, we're working closely with the franchise owner to re-educate the staff on our current policies and protocols. We have also contacted this guest directly to personally convey our sincerest regards. Becky Zerlin, Senior Public Relations Manager for Planet Fitness. So that's an example. All right, something like that happens, and now this has got international coverage with athletic business. Something that happened in one club. And so people are going to tell on you, for lack of better phrasing, people are going to tell on you with these type of things, or something that when there's a billing issue, sales pressure issue, whatever the case, you're not honoring a contract issue. And so just always, always, always be mindful of that. And so this is an example of a current member, which it doesn't say if he canceled his membership, but this is someone that's sharing with the world what happened. All right, and you don't want it to be your facility that's being highlighted with something like this. And obviously, PF or Planet Fitness said it's a training issue. They're going to re-educate the staff, but it's just things like that come up, that happen to people, and they are very, very quick to share. I also want to read something for you, and this has been on my phone. Where is it? It was so insightful. It's Sonic. Now, you may have heard about this, and it's got to reload here. It's been on my phone here for a while. And so Sonic, the fast food restaurant. So this was from February 28th, 2019. Dave Quinn of People magazine. And so the title of the article is, Staff at 3 Ohio Sonic locations reportedly quit by posting scathing notes on drive-in's door. And so let me quickly read here. Hungry Ohio residents looking to get their Sonic fix ran into a bit of a hiccup on Sunday when employees at 3 of the fast food drive-ins locations quit among complaints of terrible management and wage disputes. According to reports by the Scioto Post, staffers at Sonic in Circleville, Grove City, and Lancaster all walked out, shutting down the stores and leaving dramatic notes for customers taped to the door. Sources told the outlet that their mass exodus was spurred by the fact that corporate had bought the individual franchise stores and fired the regional director, 2 district managers, and 4 general managers in the process. Some had reportedly held management roles for the company for over 7 years, one even working for the company for 11 years. Other insiders said workers were unhappy that alleged pay cuts had been forced upon them. The Scioto Post reported as management reduced their compensation from Ohio's $8.55 minimum wage to a tipped employee wage of approximately $4 an hour. The letter Circleville staffers posted on the Sonic door alluded to both of these changes. A representative for Sonic disputed this, saying no wage rates at any level decreased as a result of this transition. But instead, employees are now eligible for their paychecks to be direct deposited, and general managers are now eligible for a new bonus program. And so I'm going to quickly read just one paragraph of one of these letters that they posted on the door. I do not use profanity myself. I despise profanity, so I'm just going to say bleep. Because I'm always a professional on a personal level as well as a professional level, but it's bad. And it says, warning. And then this is the letter, one of the letters that was on the door. Warning, due to terrible management, the whole store has quit, the note at Circleville said, according to a photo of it posted on social media. The company has been sold to people that don't give a blank about anyone but themselves. Sorry for the inconvenience, but our team refuses to work for a company that treats their employees like blank when they have put everything into this store. We have worked too hard for too long. We are all off to do better things. And so there's more that goes into it, but I don't want to get into all of that. But folks, just a very vivid example. Whether you're talking a prospective member that has a bad experience with their initial reaction with your facility, or current member or a former member that had a bad experience that all of a sudden comes and doing all of these things, reporting on social media what a bad experience they had. It happens. Employees. And I thought to myself, man, when I saw that, I said, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, you go up to there and then there's these letters on there with employees, with everybody quit at 3 locations. Like, do you realize how unique that is, what an outlier that is? Things really had to be bad for everyone in the 3 locations to quit. So that's just an example. And of course it went public, it went viral. So, the whole world knows about it. And so that's an example. You don't want members to walk up to your facility, prospective members, and see notes like that, saying what a horrible place your facility is. And also, employee reviews. I've alluded to this particularly in HR episodes, where you have employees that have good experiences working for a different gym or franchise, whatever the case may be, corporate chain, and then you have those that have bad experiences. And there's some of those that are right in the middle. All right, they're able to write very balanced reviews. And so from HR perspective, I always encourage people, check out the Indeed.com reviews, check out the Glassdoor.com reviews, and see what folks are saying, not only about your competitive, not only your facility, but also competitive facilities, but you can learn a lot. You can listen, you can read what people's pain points are, low pay, inconsistent hours. I mean, you can just see, you'll start to see patterns too, even across franchises, across corporate chains. A lot of employee complaints are the same. And it is so interesting when you really evaluate and you look at them, even by, if you were to isolate the variable of geography. There's just so many different reviews that just literally, you could just go through and say, okay, low pay, this one, you know what I mean? So it's just very repetitive. All right, and so wanted to share some examples here actually of Planet Fitness. So right here in town, and this is going to be true for you, wherever you live, if you go and type in, Lifetime Fitness, Anytime Fitness, and I'm assuming, I don't know about the whole, algorithms and search and all of that, how that works, but I'm assuming locations that are closest to you, particularly, is going to pop up first. That has always been my case when I've searched into any entity for outside of the fitness industry as well as inside the fitness industry, just doing some corporate employee research, see what their pain points are, and it's always a location, a Metro Detroit location that always pops up, but typically one of the suburbs that's closest to me here in Novi. So did that for Planet Fitness, and so this is what popped up. Very first one, 4.0 out of 5 stars. This is actually a really good review, and I'll tell you why when I'm done. And it says, the title of the review is A Good Job, but It's Not for Everyone. This person was a front desk associate, former employee, which is, remember I told you why, you always put a lot more credence in former employees because they have nothing to lose. They tend to be a lot more honest. Northville, Michigan. So the Northville, Michigan Planet Fitness, and this review is written August 19th, 2018. And it says, like any customer service job, your experience will vary depending on location management. Pros, free Black Card membership, consistent, number 2, consistent shifts, so it's easier to plan your life around. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Number 3, compared to most front desk jobs, the pay is decent. Next, and my particular location had a great management and awesome coworkers. I can honestly say there was never any work drama. Everyone was treated as equals. Next, I didn't want to work my way up in the company, but if you do, they make it plausible to do that. Next, you really get to know the members/regulars. Most members are genuinely nice. The cons, it's a fast-paced environment, ever-changing work environment. I'm a full-time college student, so I would only work a couple days a week. Things would change so often, it was hard to keep up. Things like current promotions, tour script, etc. Next, as a full-time student, I already have plenty of homework to do. I don't want to deal with homework for my part-time job as well. At PF, you would have to study/practice the tour script at home. Next, feeling pressured to sell Black Card memberships. So see, not only do potential members, current members, former members dislike generally sales pressure, but also employees are not fond of it as well. And so next, you have a lot of cleaning to do in addition to working front desk, selling memberships, taking people on tours, phone calls, etc. Next, like any customer service job, there are difficult customers. Next, small annoying things like the music was always the same and always on a constant loop. Uniforms, having to clock in 15 minutes before shift. Next, the company really cares about the walk culture and the judgment-free zone. I think it's a positive that they have strong values and want inclusion. However, the judgment-free zone in itself does come across as a bit judgmental, particularly with the dress code and with those who are very physically fit. So the N says pros: free membership, consistent shifts, great coworkers, and great management. Cons: fast-paced, ever-changing, heavy focus on sales, especially black cards. And so that's actually a good one because it's a balanced review. You know, some people will just, oh, I hate this sucked, never work here again, don't ever bother. You see reviews like that across different industries on these particular websites. But this person was very fair, very balanced, with a great number, with equal number of pros and cons. And this person, and one thing that certainly stuck out to me was folks were treated equally. And so this person sounded like they had a great respect for management. Management treated everyone was fair, objective, and that's always a great thing, certainly to read and to see. But you can also see, again, that sales issue coming up again. This person felt pressured to sell the black card membership. You have the classic membership, and for Planet, you have the black card membership. And so this person felt pressure. And so I think to myself, when people in Metro Detroit, when they're thinking about applying for Planet Fitness, and they see that review, my opinion is, I think it's a really good review because it's balanced. People are going to come, don't go in there and think, you know what I mean? There was obviously no mention of cleaning here, but, there's going to be certain expectations that you're going to have to certainly fulfill. There's going to be a lot there. You're going to be responsible for a lot. And this person alluded to that. You wear many different hats. And so I actually thought that was a very good review. But folks who are searching Indeed.com, saying, oh, I want to apply for this opening in whatever suburb here in Metro Detroit. And then they see that review, likely it will scare some people off. But I would argue, anyone that would be scared off by any of those tenants would be perhaps someone you wouldn't want anyway. This person was very, very, very candid, very honest about what some of the expectations were. And I think that the right person will see that and won't be deterred and say, oh, okay, well, I understand. And, that makes sense. So just wanted to highlight that one. There was a couple more, and this has been on my phone for a little while. And so the dates are a little off here. And so there was one, and bear with me. Oh, they get a lot of reviews. And so even if you hold it on your phone, there's all of these new ones pop up. Okay, so there's actually one here from Louisiana, 5.0, so 5-star review. Lafayette, Louisiana, member service representative, former employee, March 5th, 2019. Many people that were trying to improve their health was interesting. I enjoyed assisting members with their questions. Signing up new members was fun because I got to give them a tour of the gym. All right. And so this person, the next one, had a 1.0 or 1-star review. It says, good place to work if you're in college. An overnighter, former employee from Orlando, Florida, March 5th, 2019. No paid vacation until you have a year working with them. Overnight paid suck. In my last week before I leave the company, my daughter, sick, it's some typos, with pneumonia, and even though the letter from the doctor said I was not able to return, and she either till 3 days later, they put me in non-rehired. So, obviously some typos there, but hey, it is what it is. But see if someone sees that and they're in Orlando and they're thinking, oh, if I've got kids or if I got a family, are they going to give me some problems? Whatever. So not as balanced of a review. Another one here, 4-star review, productive and fun is the title. Personal trainer, former employee, Dallas, Texas, March 1st, 2019. It was a fun place to work at, but it was far from my home, and I was grateful for the opportunity to work there. It was a lot of hard work, and the gym would get inspected all the time, so there was a lot of pressure on keeping the gym clean at all times. The clients were very fun and friendly, and we had a 30-minute break. And so I always like to read this because just from a leadership perspective, I always enjoy, it's always going to seep out. What type of leadership style the management team or the franchisee has, it's always going to peep out. And so here at this location in Dallas, bam, what did the person say? We are frequently inspected. Our facility is frequently inspected for cleanliness. And so this is the last one I want to highlight, and this was actually going to be a little career planning coaching tip, and I wanted to share this one with you. 3-star review. The title says, it was, and the was is in quotes, fun. General manager, current employee, Naperville, Illinois, it's one of the Chicago suburbs, March 1st, 2019. The location I work at was bought out by some tool bag out of Wisconsin that so tell you everything. So I don't know if that's a typo, but anyway, that's what it says. The cheaper you can make the business work, the better off you wear in the owner's eyes. And so I just want to give a quick coaching tip. I mean, I haven't, I do this for Northwestern students. I used to do it, at large, career planning and coaching. As a current employee, don't write something like this in a review. When you leave, that's when you can, I would argue don't make these type of disparaging remarks. Give a more balanced review with pros and cons and this and that. But, calling the franchisee a tool, and this is public information, and somebody can see this, and somebody may know that owner and then call. You just don't want those type of situations. I would argue, particularly from management perspective, leadership perspective, when you feel that way, it's time to move on. I don't care where you are, I don't care what industry you're working at. In leadership, if you're struggling as a leader and you're not happy, and you don't respect the leadership, your own leadership, those above you, then it's time to move on. You got to do the right thing, not only for yourself, but for the organization. All right, so just don't, as a current employee, go on to these websites or any websites or Facebook. There's been a gazillion different stories of people getting fired, people getting demoted, all of that for writing disparaging comments about their employer. All right, so just don't do it. Just don't do it, folks. Don't do it. And lastly, folks, as we're heading here to the conclusion of this episode, the last no-no is failing to solicit or ignoring the feedback that you receive. This is something that has come up in my episodes over and over again. Feedback. It is so important. People will tell you if you ask them in most cases. You can have one-on-one when somebody comes into your gym, talk to them, get some feedback, send email, feedback request, call people. There's so many different things that you can do. But I would just argue to be more proactive about feedback, because that way you can discover issues, problems, perhaps some systems or processes that need to change or be updated or tweaked. Because that way these folks aren't ended up having these bad experiences, and then by the time you find out about it, it's too late. It's too late. So I always want to challenge you to be proactive in soliciting your feedback and listen to what people have to say. Don't wait till they write you a negative review on Yelp and all of a sudden, again, you're going on defense. All right, you can go on offense or you can go on defense. And then all of a sudden you got all these negative reviews and then you're like, bam, what do I do now? All right, so you can spend $20,000 a month, $20,000 a week on your marketing. But if people are going to the Google reviews and Yelp reviews, and they're saying a bunch of negative reviews, of one-star reviews, particularly if there's patterns of negative reviews where people are saying the same thing, so that's indicative of serious problems. Folks, just ask people. Ask people. You got to listen. They've got good ideas, ways to improve. They can give you some attaboy, attagirls, but also give you some areas where you can improve. There's one thing that's often said is listen to encouragement or listen to good ideas and positive feedback. For encouragement, listen to, in essence, negative feedback, complaints, all right, for ways to improve, to get ideas on how to improve. The negative people, they'll give you some ideas, right? The positive people, yeah, you're awesome, thank you for all you do. Yes, that's encouragement, but both are important. Both are important. So pay attention to that, and it's certainly, I did a whole episode early on, had to be about a year and something ago, maybe 15, 16 months ago. One thing, and I'm going to close out just this whole thing of soliciting feedback. I would argue in the industry, no one does it better in terms of soliciting feedback and just valuing feedback than Planet Fitness. There is a very controversial, there's always a lot of controversy going on in various clubs and different decisions that are made, but I think they do an excellent job of managing that, of handling that. And I actually sent it, particularly the social media team. You go to the Facebook page and all these people complaining, all these trolls and all of that. But certainly I know and I recognize how tough their job is. I'm just dealing with that constantly, particularly the social media team. So I shared some feedback, and I'm going to read this email to you here. So February 22nd of this year. So the title of my message, I sent this to social@planetfitness.com. My title is Your Good FB or Facebook post. And I put in parentheses, machine orientation / training series. So it says, hello, happy Friday. I hope your week has been great. I wanted to drop you a quick line of kudos for the equipment orientation / training series you started last year that you post on Facebook, on PF Facebook. The content is good and focused, and I know gym newbies are finding it useful. As a nearly 25-year veteran of gym fitness, something I also noticed is that when you started posting those, the tone of the post replies and overall page changed noticeably in a more positive manner. A lot of the negative trolls vanished. Yay! It certainly makes for easier reading and engagement. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Rachelle Smith, Novi-Michigan, and I put my PF member number. All right, so less than 7 minutes later, I got a reply saying, thanks for those kind words, Rachelle, and there's a thumbs up. And thank you for your loyalty to our planet. We really appreciate you making us your trusted fitness partner. And so I wanted to let those folks know, look, I recognize they have a tough job, but I also like the training series that they integrated and just launched last year, do a great job with that. But it's just the posts are more focused, and even people's replies are very, a lot of those negative trolls and all in this and that, a lot of those folks are gone. You know, and I just wanted to give a kudos, and those are some hardworking folks, and they've got a very tough job dealing with people that are constantly complaining, no matter what they post, no matter how positive the post is, they have to deal with that. So I shared that feedback, certainly with the social marketing team, and hopefully they pass that on to the VP or the person that handles director of marketing, because it's so important. That's a very good strategy they're implementing. And I know I've highlighted this before, long time ago, but when I think back to my, Rachelle's PF Adventures and how, in some cases I'll share feedback on the club. And I think back to my very first, when I look back to March of 2018, when I visited the Planet Fitness in Milford. And I remember I had to go to Heartland, Michigan after that. And I said, well, you know what, that club is on the way, let me go. And it was great. And so I went, and then then the second time I visited, and we just had some good experiences there, and sent my Rachelle's member survey did it right there on the website, and got that call back after I sent the feedback of John, the general manager, just saying, hey Rachelle, thank you for the feedback, I appreciate it, and yada yada yada. But his folks, the club was 3 months old, and the folks were doing a great job. And so I'm always very quick to do that. You know that, you've learned that lesson by now. I'm very, very big about doing that. But I remember how just when he called and left me that message, and I thought to myself, now this is someone that really values feedback, but also treated me no differently. That's not my home club. And that certainly caught my attention. So you had someone that's objective and fair and made the call to me to express appreciation, even though I'm not a member of his club. And that's certainly a best practice. And it's funny, I actually met him in person, and he remembered that conversation when I called him back after he left that message and said, give me a call back, and I appreciate your feedback. And then we talked, and I said, well, I'm never in Milford. It's very, very rare, so it'll probably be 6 or 9 months before I'm able to make it back there. And so this was a long time ago, and so, but in September of 2018, I was back in Milford, and actually saw the Planet Fitness sign, and it triggered me, and I said, oh, that's right, I got to stop in there and say hello to John. And so, he was there, and so, shook his hand and whatever, and they were continuing to do a good job. At the time, Jordan and Noel were working with him that morning, but, we just was very, very impressed with the work that they were doing there, and certainly was very quick to share that feedback. So imagine how I felt in March of 2019 when I opened this up. So this is part of the Spinal Column. This was a special insert Spinal Column is a weekly magazine for a certain subset of a newspaper here, a news weekly, a small news weekly, not the Detroit Free Press or the News, but this is a separate paper called the Spinal Column. So they're highlighting the best of West Oakland County Readers' Choice Awards. And so I've got my little sticky things here, and it was just made me smile, folks, when I saw the 2019 winners for the fitness category. You got Planet Fitness of Milford was one of the winners. And I thought to myself, like a year later, so we have a newer club, and the Milford Club, I believe that club opened late December 2017, and here it is, March 2019. That club has already been recognized by readers. So what does that show you? All right, good leadership, good, strong, solid leadership. And you even look at his reviews on the club. Folks say a lot of good things about that club, and about him. He gets some shout outs. He's got some shout outs on that as well. But just feedback. Just give feedback. And I'm gonna wrap this up finally here with the Troy, Michigan location of Planet Fitness, and submitted some feedback. I mean, they're doing some great things at that club as well. And so my most recent time there was on February 7th, and I shared that before about just some of the awesome things they're doing, particularly with that just relentless attentiveness to the bathrooms, and shared that feedback with the manager, Alexa Porter. And one thing that actually does a best practice within this club, that I haven't seen at any other Planet, she has this nice little setup here, this nice kind of it's not framed, but it's just so nice. It's a nice little setup. So, value member feedback, whatever, yada yada. And then it has a little card holder, and so her business cards are in it. And I was thinking to myself, how awesome is that? I just like the way, we value member feedback, and so just several different things, when I saw that. And I thought to myself, this is somebody that clearly values feedback. This is a very unique little concept here that I think, quite honestly, should be in more clubs, not all the clubs. This is great. But also it gives, in my opinion, that's going on offense. When you're drawing attention to providing feedback like that, so if a customer's mad, if a customer's angry, or in my case, if something's good, you've got some positive feedback, you have an opportunity in those cases that their card is right there. So perhaps before they go and write a negative review, they have an opportunity to talk to her first. Before they have an opportunity to call and complain to corporate, they have an opportunity to talk to her first. Or any member of the management team, whatever the case may be. So that's a really good example of a feedback, and I'm always very quick to provide feedback. And I did a member survey for that particular facility, and heard back from her as well, and her shift supervisor, Diamond Hall. But one thing that Diamond said is that next time you're here, we want to give you a T-shirt. And so, feel free to pick up a T-shirt. And so I was actually there on March 10th, never in Troy, but was invited to Troy First United Methodist Church that morning. And I said, I don't work out on Sundays for the Sabbath, but I'm going to work out that morning, and I'm going to go by that. I'm going to go to Troy, to the Planet Fitness. And so folks got my T-shirt. And so it's actually, bam, be free. And I speak and write on confidence a lot. So this is actually something that I'm going to be wearing this T-shirt in many different occasions, and utilizing it as an example, as a prop, as I talk about confidence and freedom and all of that, being free to be you. And so when I think about this, and so I told you earlier this year that Miss Jeanette at the Bossier City, Louisiana location hit a home run when she gave me this hat, that they were giving to their members for the new year. And so Miss Jeanette, hit a home run for the front desk folks within the Planet Fitness franchises in general. And then I'm now saying, so Alexa Porter is certainly from a management and leadership perspective, she's hit a home run for all the managers and leaders, and when I provide that feedback, and then she certainly went above and beyond, and I so appreciate it. And this is actually something, like I said, that I will be using because it's just very timely, and I certainly appreciate it. But I give feedback, I don't expect to get anything, and I do it just because that's what I do. People need to hear, good things. They need to hear what they're doing right, and I'm just a big proponent of that. So folks, don't discount feedback. Value feedback, and you'll be surprised how much better you can be as a person, as a leader, as a manager. All right, but just don't ignore feedback, because before things blow up and all of this and lawsuits happen, you have an opportunity to stop problems in their tracks, to solicit feedback. Planet does an excellent job. They have these little business cards. I did that on a whole separate episode. I did a whole episode on Planet Fitness and how they solicit feedback. You got little business cards. You feeling great? Great. We want to know about it. And they've got little social media, site icons on it. So there's various things that you can do, but just listen, listen. And I assure you, folks, it's been cool going over these no-nos, and I just want to keep you out of trouble. I want you to be successful. I want you to be growing in 2019 and beyond. So just take note of all of these no-nos that I've shared. There's a lot of things you can't do, but there's a lot of things that you can certainly do to make sure that your leadership journey remains great. And so next time I'm actually going to do a practical application of a SWOT analysis. So I mentioned I'm going to drop in a couple of extra episodes here on leadership. And so next week's going to be an applied example of a SWOT analysis for the Novi-Michigan fitness market. Gotta love it. So folks, thanks again for your time this week, and I can't wait till next time. So get ready. Can't wait. So thanks again, and remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness and your leadership.